All fans of The Flash were surely excited and devastated at the same time when Season 7 premiered. Well, for starters, most fans have been dying to see this first episode of The Flash after a major cliffhanger from the previous season. The last season left us with so many questions and no answers. And thankfully, Season 7 is finally here. However, the premiere episode quickly escalated from 0 to 100 when they started off the new storyline with a major character's death, Harrison Nash Wells. But many fans theorize that he isn't really gone. What do you think? Let's have a recap of what happened before his death and some events that might help determine if Harrison Wells is still alive in The Flash Season 7. Just a warning, if you haven't watched Season 6 yet, then this video will contain a bunch of mouth-gapping, mind-blowing spoilers. But before that, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell for all our future updates. Let's get into it. The Flash recently launched its latest season with Barry Allen and Team Flash racing to create an artificial speed force. Sadly, while doing so, it made them lose one of their own members. The episode's chosen title was actually Witty, and just by looking at it, you would already get a hint of what happens next. It was titled All's Well That Ends Well, and we know nothing good often comes after the word end. As you remember, the only remaining version of Harrison Wells was Harrison Nash Wells, and all of his other doppelgangers from different multiverses have been living inside his body. And since the original Harrison Wells died in the first season when Eobard Thawne stole his appearance and identity, Nash can basically exist in this world. Now it gets complicated when the show introduced this new development on the artificial Speed Force, a force that helps Barry be a speedster even without the original Speed Force, which, as we all remember, was accidentally destroyed by Barry. So, left without any energy source, Team Flash decided to create their own Speed Force. However, creating such a force is easier said than done. Unlucky for them, the only way they thought of was to use each of their synaptic particles as an energy source, but this also meant that all of them had to die. While Caitlin and Cisco were away on their own missions, Barry Allen worked closely with Nash and Chester P. Runk in finishing the artificial Speed Force in time so they would be able to stop Ava McCulloch or Mirror Mistress from going through with her evil plans. Barry emphasized to Chester how dangerous the fusion sphere is, because it can literally absorb him and break him into particles. So while Barry and Chester were away chit-chatting about the fusion sphere, Nash had a talk with the Council of Wells and thoroughly assessed the heaviness of the situation. Nash realized that the only way to power up the artificial Speed Force is if he, Nash Wells, became a human sacrifice. Why is that, you ask? Nash's body has been hosting all of the surviving Harrison Wellses in the multiverse, which means they have enough particles inside of Nash to fuel the artificial Speed Force. Nash didn't want to be a sacrificial lamb, of course, and he was so afraid to be one that he did not admit it early with the team that he's their only hope. After a talk with the Wells Council, Nash was still not convinced. He believed there was still another way to activate the artificial Speed Force without him killing himself. But when Chester examined Barry, they all realized that the multiverse particles are practically killing him. He could have been already killed, actually, if not only for his speed healing ability. But Barry was running out of time, and the only choice left was with Nash. And he couldn't stand seeing Barry practically kill himself, and he knew he was the only one capable of saving him by replacing him as a sacrifice. So our Season 7 hero stepped forward, and with a device Chester invented, Allegra pushed back the multiverse particles from Barry to Nash, restoring Barry to health. Then Nash rushed to the fusion sphere and proceeded on doing what he knew best. He placed his hands on it while Barry cried out in protest. There was even this really heartfelt scene where Nash, gradually diffusing into particles, told his team that he was only doing what he did because he didn't want any of them to die. Good point, but still extremely heartbreaking. Before Nash completely vanished into tiny particles, he cycled through his different doppelgangers, starting from HR to Sherlock and ending with Harry, as each bid their own farewells. As Nash cried in pain, Barry, still heartbroken, ran fast to let the artificial Speed Force work its magic. Nash's sacrifice wasn't wasted after all, since Barry was able to outrun Mirror Mistress, therefore stopping her from destroying a plane, or so we thought. It was a really emotional scenario, and actor Tom Cavanaugh really did do it justice, as he always does to all of his Harrison Wells versions and even to antagonist Eobard Thawne, or the Reverse Flash. This episode basically ended the Harrison Wells era in the show because all the multiverse doppelgangers died in unison for Barry, including the actual host, which was Harrison Nash Wells, who also died along with the other multiverse versions. Since Harrison's death in the year 2000, multiple versions of him started to emerge, hailing from different multiverses. Yes, this is perhaps the end, unless the show revives the original Harrison Wells, whose body is buried somewhere on Earth 1. Remember where he was buried by Thawne when he stole his identity? And then the imposter lived on for the next 15 years, stealing his idea of the particle accelerator? Yep, he was still there. That's the only physical body that remains of Wells on Earth after all. But how could that happen? Fans were apparently devastated by the idea of all Harrison Wells versions dying at once, or just dying at all. That strips us of a possible return of fan favorites like Nash and Harry. However, we all know that this is the best move they've got to do to fix the post-crisis Wells problem. Originally, the latest season premiere wasn't exactly planned to be the start of the storyline, but a part of Season 6. Now fans all over the world are creating different theories about the Harrison Wells death and are expressing their own thoughts and opinions on the character's demise. Some fans believe that this is indeed the end of Tom Cavanaugh's characters, while others believe that it isn't. But everything goes back upside down once again when in the release of Season 7's second episode, Wells is shown to be back on Earth. How is it possible? He died 20 years ago. Well, the second episode of the latest season showed Cisco returning from Atlantis to his team to join them on retiring Nash's fanny pack to the Hall of Fallen Friends. The artificial speed force that Nash gave his life into turned out to be a success. However, Barry started to experience abilities such as speed of thought, calculating and foreseeing scenarios, and being able to pick which timeline he wishes to happen. These abilities, however, caused him to lose emotions. Because of this, Barry furiously destroys the artificial speed force where all Nash's and other Harrison Wells particles are in. At the end of the second episode, it showed the destiny of the original Harrison Wells on the Earth Prime timeline, which was death under the hands of his murderer. But it was shown that there were bright green particles coming up from the land where Eobard buried him. This speculated a lot of theories from fans. Could the original Harrison Wells still be alive? Or is it just another doppelganger hailing from another multiverse? If so, how could that happen when the original Wells is dead? Some fans theorized that the character could really be the original Harrison Wells, who has been revived after the destruction of his doppelganger's multiversal particles and Barry's artificial speed force. But what we don't know yet is if this resurrection actually happened right after Eobard killed him in the year 2000, or 20 years after. The trailer of episode 3 foreshadowed Barry talking to Harrison, but we don't know yet what is the importance of this major character's return. Nevertheless, this will surely be exciting and will trigger a lot more fan theories. What do you think will be Wells' relevance to the season? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.